How's it going? This is Keanu Yamamoto with the Coachers Podcast, sitting here with Casey Bunn-Wilson, head coach for women's basketball at Linfield University. She played her collegiate career at Oregon State. She finished 9th all-time on the scoring list and 7th all-time on the rebound list. Coach, great to have you on. Please take it away. Tell us about your progression, your background, family, all that good stuff.
Well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate you thinking of me. Your podcast is awesome and you do great work, so I'm happy to be here. Kind of my progression into coaching. Well, after college, I had the opportunity to play professionally overseas for 4 years, so got to travel the world and do that for a while. Then once I got back, I started a youth program. I knew I wanted to coach. I didn't know at what level, and so I started at the youth level, shortly got into high school level after that. Was an assistant coach at Lake Oswego for 3 years. I then got the head job at Tualatin High School. So I was the high school head coach at Tualatin and the school to career counselor at Tualatin for 3 years before I got the job at Linfield, and I'm going into my 11th year here. So that was kind of the progression after playing.
That's awesome. How was what countries were you in when you played overseas?
I was fortunate to play in Greece, Spain, Portugal, and finish my career in Australia. So
Nice.
all bucket list countries.
I did a year out there in Germany. What was your favorite destination?
I get that question a lot. Overall, probably Australia. Just the culture. Obviously, there wasn't a language barrier, so that was really nice. Met some lifelong friends. I still talk to one of my coaches that from there. I mean, that was 12 years ago, so 15 years ago now. So I had a lot of good relationships and really good experience there. So probably Australia overall. But each country taught me certain things about myself. It kind of made me dig deep a little bit into who I am and what I stand for and what I'm doing there. So it was good.
That's awesome. What's the why behind you wanting to coach?
I love basketball. It's given me a lot of great opportunities and allowed me to travel the world and a lot of lifelong friendships. And I just think that if I can give a little bit to my players that I've received from basketball, that I'm doing the right thing. I love basketball, though. I wanted to stay in it after playing, and I love the game and get into the nitty-gritty of it and the scheming and all that. So I just wanted to continue being a part of basketball and being a part of a team.
Yeah. Who would you say have been some of your greatest influences throughout your career within basketball, with outside of basketball?
Family is definitely a huge support my whole life. I was really thankful to play close to them. Obviously, growing up in Staten and playing at Oregon State, it was really cool to have the community there and my family there to support. I've had a lot of great coaches, college, high school, and then overseas, just taking a lot from them and, kind of throwing out what I don't like, keeping what I like, and just having those experiences. I have a few mentors that were my former coaches that are still in my life today that still influence me, and I can call at any time and ask for advice or anything. So those have been the biggest ones.
That's cool. As far as coaching styles, do you think that's subjective on the coach, or did you notice a difference in some of the coaches that you've had within the States as opposed to when you were playing overseas, and kind of how they communicated and their operations? Were they different? Were they similar? Can you kind of dive into that a little bit?
Gosh, they're very different. College coaching in the States at that level compared to overseas was just like night and day difference. It was a huge shock. Obviously more of a professional level, they expect product and outcomes. And if at the Division I level they did as well, but it's like, it's a business. And if you don't perform, you're going to get cut and they'll get another import in. So that part of it was definitely different. It wasn't as professional, like we went out with coaches after and, just in a different, there wasn't that like boundary that is there in Division I. So that was different. But as far as communication, I played in Greece, Spain, and Portugal where my coaches didn't speak very good English. So in Greece, I had a translator and, 30-second timeout or a minute half timeout, the coach is telling us the thing and then the translator's in my ear and they probably think I'm an idiot because I don't understand, there's stuff lost in translation. And so that was really difficult, but definitely a challenge playing in those countries.
Yeah, I didn't even think about the communication barrier. I know I played out in Germany a little bit, but the coaches that I had speak fairly good English, and the kind of the cool thing was if they got mad at you, you didn't know what they were saying, so I guess you just got their energy, but you didn't really hear their words and internalize the words like you might get from back in the States.
Yeah, that was a blessing.
If there was some advice that you would go back and give to your younger self, what would that advice be?
As far as basketball or just life?
Both.
I think overall it's going to be fine. You're going to be okay. There's so many things that you worry about when you're younger that are out of your control. That's what I talk to my players a lot about. It's like, just worry about the things that are in your control and the rest will work itself out. I think that part of it, I think that, I didn't trust in myself as much as maybe I should have or could have. There's a lot to say about having a good attitude and just working hard, and then that separates you a lot more than people think. So probably those two things, having the confidence, everything's going to be fine. Don't worry.
We talked a little bit about this on the side. Your husband, Mitch, also golf coach there at Linfield University. People like to talk about work-life balance. People like to talk about work-life integration. I remember when I was still at Linfield, I'd always see Rylan rolling around.
Yeah.
How do you guys do it?
So I think it's a day by day, still trying to figure it out. Each year is different. I have a 4 and a 7-year-old, so Rylan's running around, Dawson's running around all over the place. Just finding a balance. Like it's crazy because he has the dual season, so he's fall and spring.
Oh, really?
So he'll start his season.
Is that men and women's is different, or is different
it's the
seasons?
same. Yeah, golf is dual or split
no
seasons now. Yeah, so they start in the fall, so they'll start in a couple weeks, and then when they finish, I start, and then when I finish, they start up again. So we've been really fortunate to have my mom come and stay with us, and his family lives in Eugene, so they come up and help, and then we rely on our babysitters and kind of make it work within our schedules and within the players' schedules, because at D3 their schedules come first, their class schedules. So it's day by day, but we're making it work.
Yeah. All right. Challenge of being a successful player and early on in your coaching career where, there was something that you could have done on the court and it just came kind of natural to you, but there was communication barrier. Maybe your player wasn't getting it. Can you kind of touch on that a little bit? Because I know it happened to me as a young coach, and I guess it still happens to me.
Yeah, I think every player is different too, right? Like you have to learn how that player learns and processes. And so maybe how I learned plays or processes isn't how they learn it. So I think the biggest thing is just teaching the skill and teaching what you want. Like I'll do a lot of demonstrations myself, like this is what I'm looking for, so they can kind of see it. Thankfully, I'm able-bodied enough to still do that and get in there a little bit with them. So showing them, we put it on paper so they can see it. I was somebody that needed to see it live. So like if you can just show me a play on paper, and I'm not going to understand what it is until I see it first. And so I'll have to see it that way. But I think just teaching the skill and them understanding why you want them to do it and how you want them to do it is really important, especially this generation. They need to know the why. And I'm totally fine explaining that, because we come off the screen like this, not like this, because otherwise you'll get beat, or this person's a shooter, so we have to go over the top, or they're a driver, so we have to go under the screen. So just giving them the why and teaching them the skill.
Yeah. All right, little bit of personal question. I asked this to Brett Elliott. I guess ever a point in your career as a player and as a coach where you had self-doubt, and kind of if you didn't, that's freaking awesome. If you did, kind of how did you crawl yourself out of that and build yourself back stronger?
I think every athlete has that, right? At some point. A big one was my senior year in college.
But you averaged 20 points per game senior year, according to the internet.
Did. Yeah, it was a great year. I had a really tough coach, and pushed me really mentally and physically. Thankfully, I rose to the occasion. I did well under that kind of coaching, and so I just had to dig deep and this is what I want. This is where I want to go. This is the kind of player that I want to be, and she's going to help me get there if I get through this hard stuff. Mm-hmm. So there was, without going into too much detail, it was just a lot of, not pressure, but I think pressure is perspective, but just a lot. I was a lone senior, and a lot of expectations at that level, and so I could have sat there and doubted myself and not performed, or lost confidence in a lot of things that were being thrown at me. But I think you just go back to depending on the work that you've put in and the time and the effort that you've put in. And I knew I had put in work, more work than anybody else, or just as hard as anybody else. I was never the strongest, fastest player, most talented, but I was going to outwork anybody, and that's kind of what I hung my hat on. Nobody's going to outwork me. So I always kind of fell back on that. And then playing overseas, it was hard too, right? I go to this country, I don't know anybody. Everybody speaks a different language. They can barely speak English. So I had to rely on my work ethic, and had to learn a lot of the drills and everything just by watching. So I was back in the line, watching, observing, and then had to go in and try to work harder than anybody else to try to separate. So those are probably the biggest times in my life where I felt like this could be really hard. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I'm good enough.
It worked out. In regards, we talked a little bit about your why behind coaching, and you want to impact players, you want to build up the youth, build up young girls, and instill them with confidence, and do it with the sport that you love. What would you say is your coaching philosophy?
Coaching philosophy is creating a positive environment where athletes can thrive. I think a lot of athletes play in fear of making a mistake, and in basketball especially, you're going to make mistakes. Like 50% shooting is really good, right? 30% from the three-point line is really good, and you're going to have 12 to 14 turnovers a game as a team, and so you're going to make mistakes, but just being okay with that and not making the same mistakes, uplifting, empowering girls to take responsibility and ownership in the program, and just instill as many leadership skills as possible. I think I'm very transparent with my team, and my expectations are high, but we like to have fun, and we love the sport, and we're there to have fun. And if it's not fun, then why are you here? Yeah. So, and fun to me is working hard and kicking people's butt. And so, every now and then we'll have a breakout dance party if tensions are high or if it's a hard drill or something. But just like keep it light, keep it simple, but knowing the expectations. My players know exactly what I expect from them. And we've built a pretty good culture at this point where it's like, this is who we are, and this is why we do what we do, and this is why we don't let certain things slide. And a lot of that, I think, is my upperclassmen and my leadership that are continuing to implement those with the underclassmen that come in.
Yeah. Can you kind of talk about your team culture just a little bit? I know you talked about, just as you were explaining there, like if moments get too tense that you guys bust out in dance party. But is there anything else that you do that you think is unique, that you do maybe outside of practice or outside of the facilities to help build up that camaraderie and chemistry within the team?
Yeah, dance parties are rare occasions, but when they're needed, I feel like it breaks the ice pretty good. Yeah. We do a lot of team bonding. So obviously, I've talked a little bit about the mental side of the game. We work really hard and meet weekly as a group about the mental side, our mindset, and not to use it as a crutch because the hot word right now is mental fragility, and I don't want to use that as something that they're dependent on, but something more so that you have the tools to cope and that everybody's going through something, and you're not alone in this, and how can we get through it and have a positive reaction to adversity, those kind of things. So I'm geeking out on the mental side a little bit, but we do a lot of team bonding. Every year we do either beach day or team hikes. We do cat chats, like I mentioned, weekly stuff. So they're presenting a chapter about a book that we're reading that pertains to the mindset. And
that's
so,
cool.
It's fun, and it's very enlightening because someone will get a chapter that's super relevant to them that they needed to hear. And so they're presenting that to the group and how it relates to them, the team, in real life. We kind of dig deep into that. I think along the lines of my philosophy is it's really important to get to know your players on an individual level so that you know how to coach them better. And that I know if I don't really know you, I don't know what makes you tick, right? Or I can't talk to you a certain way or get after you a certain way. You're not going to receive it as well if I don't know you on a personal level.
What are some of the books that you guys dive into for the cat chats?
So
I'm always looking for new books.
Yeah, one of them is Mind Gym. I've been using it since I was at Tualatin. It's really good.
You said Mind Gym?
Mind Gym, yep.
Who's that by?
I'm going to show you. Hold on real quick. So these are the two that we've been reading the last couple years. Mind Gym.
Is that Gary Mack?
Yeah. And then Alistair McCaw. I'm sure you've seen a bunch of stuff from him.
Yeah. I haven't seen that book, but yes, I recognize the name.
Habits That Make a Champion. So each chapter is its own little story and its own kind of mental challenge or specific thing that, the players can work on or think about. So
no, I do think that's a big deal. And I wish I learned it sooner, had it sooner, just the will to want to read and the curiosity to want to read. Is there any books that, aside from those two, that you like, that you refer to in regards to philosophy or the mental aspect of sports that...
I love John Wooden and just his principles of the individual. And what else do I read? I'm trying to think. The Mindset is a Superpower, same guy, Alistair McCaw. So those kind of things. John Gordon has a couple books that I've read. I haven't had my team read them yet, but just the mindset. And I think I've never coached boys, but with females athletes, it's all mindset and confidence. And we're so critical of ourselves and beat each other up or beat ourselves up in here. And so what are we telling ourselves? How are we talking to ourselves what does our positive self-talk look like? So we talk a lot about that, and how do you respond to mistakes? What does a good teammate look like? What does a good leader look like? And in my program, leaders are servant leaders, and they're the ones that are taking the balls out and sweeping the floors and grabbing bags, and it's not the freshmen doing it. So it's like a freshman comes in, it's like, oh my gosh, this senior point guard, starting point guard's sweeping the floors or bringing the speakers out or cleaning up after practice or setting the clock up. And so those are the kind of things that I feel like build our culture and create the culture. We go to class. We're not going to be that program that doesn't go to class, and we communicate with professors, and we're proactive if we're traveling. It's just those little things, like off the court, we're representatives of our program all times. Once you're a women's basketball player at Linfield, then you are out in downtown or in the airport or in the hotels. You're always representing our program.
Yeah. Greatest moment or moments so far in your coaching career, and why?
Gosh, I'd have to say last season. We tied the school record in wins. Had a great year. I mean, 3 years ago, we were 1-24. So last year we were 19-7, on the bubble of making the NCAA tournament. So I would say that year was an incredible year. I have a big group of incoming seniors, and so their freshman year, their sophomore years, we were not where we are today. So really credit them on how they've built the program and how hard they've worked in the off season and during season to get here. I always say that all the losses are my fault and all the wins are theirs. So, it's just taking those responsibilities and how can we fix it and make it better. And they've responded really well to adversity, and we're mentally tough, and they're a really close group, and I think that transfers over into the court. So just all of that encompassing is makes me really proud of this group.
No doubt. Yeah. Can you talk about, was there a difference in approach from 1-24 3 years ago to 19-7?
I think the biggest thing I learned in that year was we can't hang our hat on wins and losses. We had a really young group, talented group, but young, and we just we started focusing on other things. So games within our games, right? Like we have goals before each game that we go over and that we'd like to meet. So after the game, we look at the stat sheet and we go over those mini goals and where did we meet them? Where did we fall short? And so we would focus a lot on those. Well, like, this is why we lost the game. We only shot 60% from the free throw line and had 22 turnovers or something like that. So just really focusing on the controllables and not just wins and losses, and that's it. So I think that year one challenged me as a coach, taught me to not take things so personally, because that's pretty embarrassing, or it can be. But yeah, I know you talked about this with Elliot too, is like, you can't take things personal, and you can, as a coach, you can only control the things that you can control. There's so many, especially at this D3 level, things that are out of your hands. So as much as you can coach your players and coach them up and teach them what you can, there's always outside influences. They're gonna stay up all night, studying or whatever, or they're not gonna eat what they should to perform like the way they should. And so how can I control what I can control within my team? So a lot of learning that year. We win and we learn, we don't lose. So we learned something from it. So we learned a lot that year, but it paid off. So to see those freshmen as juniors have the year that they did last year was really cool.
And you got pretty much all of them returning for the senior year?
All of the juniors are returning. We just lost one senior.
Gotcha.
Graduating. So
that's exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited. We have a tough preseason, and our conference is always tough, but I'm excited.
Does the team know what you shared with me on the side, or they don't know?
Which part? I don't know.
Just as far as the games that you're playing out of conference.
Yeah, they know.
Okay, because I didn't want to be the spoiler alert.
Oh, no, they know. We didn't make the conference tournament. Our strength of schedule wasn't as high as it should have been, even though we had a great season in 19-7. So I try to make our preseason a little bit stronger. Mm-hmm. So they know. And it's still like...
So they know that they're going to Hawaii. They know that they're going to Hawaii.
Oh, they know. We're going to Hawaii.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
I've been planning since May, so we're good.
What are you looking forward to when you're out there? What are you guys doing? Are you guys doing anything
in Hawaii?
Fun? Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do all the local stuff. We'll do a luau. We'll spend a day at the beach. We get in 2 days early, and then we play 2 games back to back, and then we leave the next day. So we'll get in and have some good team bonding and hang out and enjoy the scenery and the beach and the culture, and then get after it on the court.
Oh yeah. I'm kind of jealous. You get to go back to the home state right there.
Yeah.
Can you talk to me just a little bit about recruiting and roster management within women's basketball and what that looks like?
So we kind of changed the way that we recruit a few years ago too. We had to do some rearranging with our roster and just a rebuild or of our culture. So in recruiting, we dive really deep. I have a great assistant who goes extra miles and talks to their high school coach and opposing team coaches and obviously family and AAU coaches. So we just try to get to know the player, the recruit as best that we can. We look at social media, all the things that people talk about, like you are the face of your product. So your social media is a big insight into that. And so we just look at recruits and are they going to fit our program and on and off the court. So do they score 20 points a game? Great, but if they're knuckleheads, then I don't want them. So they got to fit our culture and fit what we're doing. And I'm at a point in my career where it's like I'm not gonna settle for anybody that I don't think is gonna fit in our culture.
Yeah. How many players do you guys carry? And then in regards to each position, how many of those are you allocating? And if there's like a swing position that, okay, you're going to get best available, what does that look like?
That's the tricky part, right? Because we cast such a wide net. And then I like to carry in typical years like 15 to 17. This year we have 22 because I graduate those 8 next year. So roster management's going to be more challenging this year, but I'm up for the challenge. I'm excited for practices because we can do a lot more in practice than we can with. I had 15 last year and 11 most of the year because of injuries, so we were pretty limited on what we could do in practice. So I'm excited about that. I picked up some extra games just to get more playing time, but typically 15 to 17. And then position, it kind of varies. I mean, I like to have like 6 posts at least, and then like point guards, combo guards, wings, perimeter players, just kind of based on what offense you run or what you like to do. I think it just varies. So I like to have at least a point guard, a post, and a wing in each grade.
Yeah.
So
that's good. Yeah. I know I told you this before we got on, and I wish my daughter came up with the better question. But what is your favorite food?
I love pasta. Anything. Spaghetti, pasta salad, chicken Alfredo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No pesto in there? No like
pesto.
Pesto?
I love pesto. Yeah, chicken and pesto. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So kind of segue into kind of team dynamics, construction of a team. We talked about a little bit just before the Anela question of the day. What does the word team mean to you?
Team means trust. It means really good communication, probably more than you're used to. Just communicating through issues or adversity or just being part of a team, something bigger than yourself. But I think that component of just trusting each other, having each other's back, like-minded people working towards a common goal. So understanding our principles and our expectations of our program, but especially in basketball, and I don't know football like you do, but especially in basketball where there's 5 of you on the court, you have to communicate, you have to trust each other a lot, you have to buy into our philosophy and our game plan. And if just 1 or 2 people go off of that, then you're in a bad spot. So just making sure that everyone's trusting each other and on the same page.
So I got a question. They got a little script right up top here, but I was going to ask, what separates a great team from a good team? And I was, the question I asked earlier in regards to, what was the difference in your approach from the 1-24 season to the 19-7 season? And one of the big things that you said was obviously experience. Your team was very talented and experienced. So I guess when you're looking at a player, would you value experience over talent? Do they have to go together? I guess if you can only pick one of those qualities, which one are you taking?
Experience or talent? Oh, gosh. Hopefully they go hand in hand or they're together with them. But that's kind of asking, like, am I going with a transfer student or a freshman? A really good freshman. I don't know. It depends on the person. I'm going with work ethic over those 2.
That's a great answer.
If they have a great work ethic, I think they can overcome the other stuff.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
That's a great answer. It's a great answer. How do you go about creating healthy competition within practice? And I know this was a football question because I'm thinking in football you want enough edge where both offense and defense during practice are getting a little chippy, but towing that line. How do you create healthy competition within women's basketball, but at the same time, I guess, press some buttons so that people are playing at a very high level or competing at a very high level?
I think in practice we do a good job of putting them in those like stressful or game-like situations. So everything we do in practice has either a goal or a winner or a loser. So we're creating that intensity or game-like experience. And just the other understanding that by competing, you're making each other better. You could be defending your best friend, and if you go easy on her, then you're not making each other better. So understanding that you could be best buddies off the court, but when you're on the court, you're competing and trying to exploit each other's weaknesses, and just understanding the fact that you're not trying to, do anything malicious, or you're just trying to make each other better. So having those goals and competition, like win or loser, is a big incentive that works really well. And just understanding we're trying to make each other better. And at the end of the day, if you push me, I'm going to push you, and we're going to be better for it.
Talk to me a little bit about what your practice structure looks like, because the last time I was part of a basketball practice was in high school.
Okay.
So talk to me a little bit about practice structure, and then after that, we'll kind of talk about, day in the life of what your daily schedule looks like.
Okay. Practice structure, depending on the time of year. Just in general, we do a lot of fundamentals.
Yeah.
We do ball handling to warm up, or we do warm up ball handling, and then some sort of like passing shooting for a while. And then we kind of dive into what we call small sided games, or like if we're working on a specific like ball screen action or something within our offense, then we work on that. And then we kind of build up into live play. So we'll do some shooting in between different drills, but that's kind of how we structure it. So we try not to go over 2 hours, just to be mindful of their schedule. And we're just practices like this the whole time, not a lot of standing around unless it's the first couple weeks and we're doing a lot of teaching. After that, you better pick it up quick or you're going to get left behind. So that's kind of how we structure practice. Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, give me a drill, and I want you to explain it to me like I coach basketball, because there's going to be people listening that coach basketball. So I'm just going to nod my head like I know what you're saying, but you're probably going to throw some verbiage and some lingo out there that I'm not going to understand. I want one of your favorite drills, and explain it to me like I coach basketball.
One of my favorite drills, gosh, my players hate it. We call it Sooner drill. It's a full court layup drill. So you have 3 balls, 2 on one end, 1 on the other end, and everybody's involved. So it's a team goal of, I can't remember, we go 4 minutes. I can't remember what our goal, I think it's 160. So we try to get 160. And I'm sorry, that's a different one. We go 90. So each basket's worth 1 point. So we go 4 minutes, try to get to 90. It's a full court layup drill. So it's hard to explain without like a whiteboard. But you have a line under the basket, and then you have a line at like the hash marks of like 3/4 court, 3/4 court, 3/4 court, 3/4 court, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I'm a basketball coach, so I got.
Okay, all right. So hitting the ball off the backboard, I get the rebound, I outlet to the first passer, they pass it back, I outlet it to the next one, they pass it back, then I lay up. And then I'm done. The person follows me, so you're following the next person in line, each line. Easier to show than to explain and learning. So the person behind me gets the rebound, they're passing the outlet, they pass it back, pass the outlet, pass it back, and then I'm shooting the layup. So it's each player's going a full court layup. So it should be fast. It should be like they're sprinting all out, fast break layup. So we do that continuously, 3 balls going for 4 minutes. At 2 minutes, we switch. So we're going right 2 minutes, then we go left. So that's one of my favorite.
Sounds like a lot of running.
It's a lot of running. And you know what? If you're my program, you're going to be in really good shape. So,
yeah.
And I think we won a lot of games in the 4th quarter because of that. We had our legs under us. So in the moment, and just having that mindset of like, we're not just running because I want you guys to run. We're running for a purpose. And we do a lot of the running within the drills. And it's a tough drill. I got to figure out how to make it harder with 22 players. They're going to get too much rest. But
weighted vests, put weighted vests on.
There you go.
No,
yeah.
That probably wouldn't be good. I asked you this beforehand. I'll give you a heads up on this. You can only pick one position that you're going to have an all-conference or all-American player, and you're going to build your team around that particular player / position. What is that position and why?
That's tough. I had 2 all-conference players this year. One was a point guard and one was a forward.
Okay. Let's go all-American then. One of them's an all-American. What position is it?
I'm going to go with point guard. They just delegate, or not, they have to control so much of the court. They're getting us in our offense. I rely a lot on my point guards to like get us in our stuff instead of like looking over, walking the ball up the court, calling a play. They should already know what we're in. Pushing the ball, getting the ball to the right people, being able to score, being able to facilitate. I'll go with point guard.
Okay. You talked about the goals within the game earlier, and I was thinking back to when I was at Boise State, and it was a non-traditional statistic that people from the outside might not think about. Obviously, you got third down efficiency, you got, the turnover margins, you got points allowed, points scored. But one thing that I thought was really cool was every game we had a goal to try and hit the quarterback 10 times and that we
Nice.
could affect the quarterback by hitting him 10 times and now, somehow change his mentality, maybe make him skittish in the pocket.
Hmm.
What is a metric that you use that is probably not traditional to rebounds, offensive rebounds, scoring that you guys track?
That's a great question. We probably like anybody, just like our efficiency of each possession. So what are we getting out of possessions? But one thing that I don't know if other teams track is we try to get 2 or 3 charges a game. So kind of like
Yeah.
that, like just to kind of offset the other team or maybe make them a little hesitant attacking the basket because they know that we're right there. Taking a charge is such a momentum shift. And we have a charge chart in our team room. So, our players are like gunning for charges and we keep track. And then at the end of the year at our banquet, we have a charge champion. So that's something like, an obviously defensive thing that our players pride themselves on.
Little Starbucks gift card for the winner? What Dutch Bros gift card?
No,
What
I
does the
can't
winner
do
get?
that.
What does the winner get? Just pat on the back?
Bragging rights.
No, that's cool. That's
Yeah.
cool. Why is the charge such a momentum shifter?
Oh.
I dive into that for me because I'm just when you said that I was like that's so true. It's like, but why?
Yeah. You try to get the ball in the paint, score in the paint where closest to the basket.
Yeah.
And if you're taking those opportunities away or making teams second guess driving in there, and then that help is right there regardless. So if it's a charge or not, that help is going to be there. So I think it just makes teams second guess it. If a post player gets the ball in the key or on the block and they have someone right behind them and someone guarding them in front, then that's going to make them second guess their decision. And then, obviously foul trouble, you only get 5 fouls. So if we pick up a couple or our opponent picks up a couple fouls early, it's a game changer.
Yeah, no doubt. I might be deep in this a little too much here, but
I love it.
I do think there's an element of sacrifice with putting your body on the line with a charge that you see your teammate just get laid the hell out
Yeah.
and they get up and they're celebrating. And I don't know. I just think it's cool because there's a big element of sacrifice in
It's a
regards to
huge
that.
element of sacrifice. Yeah. And seeing it and reading it early and then getting in position and, getting into position where the refs aren't having to make a call. It's blatant and it's obvious, right? Because we attempt a lot of charges, but sometimes they don't get called or they're not in the right position or they're not there early enough or
Do you chart attempted charges?
we don't. No. Another defensive one. I'm very defensive minded coach, so everybody worries about scoring and how many points am I going to score. And so another thing, like our goals within the game are the other things, like how many rebounds. Like I praise rebounds, I praise assists, I praise steals, or we track tips. I won't ever talk about or very rarely talk about scoring unless someone that doesn't score very much has this huge breakout game, and it was huge for us in that game. But just focusing on other things because there's so many dynamics to basketball that makes a team successful outside of scoring. So if
Yeah.
people are less focused on that, we'll be more successful.
That just made me, you talk about defense, that just made me think back to my volleyball coach that I had on. She like glorified anyone who dove on the ground. So like if we shanked the ball, like she made it an emphasis in practice, if we shanked the ball behind us, that everyone ran and took a dive on the ground. And then it turned into like a fun thing. Like how many times did you hit the ground today? So on and so forth. So
Awesome.
I don't know why,
Yeah.
but that just made me think about
Awesome. She wanted you to get after it.
no doubt.
Sacrifice your body.
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about what your schedule looks like on a daily basis in season
Some of our student athletes.
for
So
you.
this,
Let's go for you.
for me,
Yeah.
with the kids, it depends. I do a lot of work from home. When my players are on campus, I try to be in the office as much as I can. Obviously, the kids are in school. Then my kids are in school. I get in anywhere between 8 and 9 in the morning, and then depending on their schedules or depending on where we're at, we meet. I meet with my players individually once a month at least. So we call them birthday meetings. So if your birthday is on the 14th of whatever month, then around that time, around the 14th of each month, we'll meet individually. So then they have that opportunity to ask about basketball or how they can improve or just watch film or whatever that is. Just obligatory. You have to come and meet with me. So we'll have those a lot throughout the day, working on other stuff. As you know, at the D3 level, we don't have a lot of assistants to do ops things, so we're doing a lot of like organizing gear or planning trips or travel stuff. If it's in season, maybe I'll be downstairs having like a shooting practice with some players that can get in between classes. We typically practice around 3 to 5 or 5 to 7, and then they'll lift before. After that, we'll have film before, usually our scout, depending on what time of the season that we're in. Between school pickups and back and forth, I'll be back and forth out of the office or running around to the mailroom or putting a recruit on a tour or whatever it is. So
Yeah.
I love the flexibility of this job. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You talked about film, and
Mhm.
for me, I've been part of football, and you have a whole week, 7 days to prepare for a team, and you can feel really good about it. But sometimes your turnaround is the next day.
Yeah.
So, what tidbits are you taking from the opponent and sharing with your team? And can you kind of talk about that scouting process?
Yeah. So something that I wasn't used to when I got to Linfield is we play back-to-back games, which is tough. You have to train accordingly, right? So,
Back to back within the same day, or are you talking about?
or like we play Friday, Saturday.
Gotcha.
So we'll play on the weekend, Friday, Saturday. So we'll focus on us Monday, Tuesday. If it's an opponent that maybe has a lot of different offenses or maybe they run a defense that we really haven't seen, we'll spend an extra day on them. But typically scout days are Wednesdays and Thursdays. So I'll scout for our Saturday team on Wednesday and then our Friday team on Thursday, right? So this is how I do it. I don't know how other schools do it, but I feel like it's worked best for us because we scout Wednesday for the team on Saturday, and Thursday we'll scout for that next day opponent. And then on Saturday, the day of the game, it's all refresher. It's not brand new information. And so we try to put as much emphasis on both games or both opponents as we can. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I like that how you're doing that though. I think that's a good idea.
Well, thanks. It works. I mean, it's better to have a refresher than brand new information the day of, than it's, impossible to retain, especially
Hmm.
when you're thinking about the game the night before.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we do full scouting reports, watch film, break down player tendencies, offense and defenses of the teams, and I have my coaches, we kind of split our scouting reports. So, if I have two coaches, then it's just we're doing every other one, and if I have three, we're doing every three.
Yeah. Can you
So,
kind of Can you kind of tell me like what are some of the tendencies that you're looking for? Because I only know it from a football perspective of what we're looking for the opposing offense, but like
yeah,
what's the glaring tendencies that you want to look for?
on opposing teams or players or just in general.
Oh, I guess both. You got to
Well,
enlighten me here.
so we typically highlight obviously their leading scorers,
Yeah.
leading rebounders, best defenders, leading steals. So anyone that's in there leading in any category, and then just the offense that teams run. So we try to have a scout team together and put together whatever the team's running offensively, so we can at least know what reads to make or how we're going to defend them or where help's coming from. If a player's left-handed or right-handed, or if they like to drive baseline or drive middle, or where they're trying to get their points from. So we try to take that away, and then make them go to their second, third, fourth option.
I like that. We talked about it a little bit earlier in this conversation, but more so that was kind of a more of a macro look, but more
Mhm.
of a micro look. Getting fancy here. Economic terms that I learned at Linfield. That's all I know. Macro and micro. What do you do? What does that conversation look like when your team faces a setback or a loss? What does that look like? Especially if you got to play the next day. What does that look like?
So that's where we kind of lean on our goals, our pregame goals within the game. So we look at where we fell short, if we didn't handle the ball very well, or if we had too many turnovers, or if we were missing a lot of inside shots. We kind of dive into that. If we were taking good shots, then we just, we're taking good shots. They just weren't falling. That happens sometimes. Keep your confidence. Or we got to take care of the ball, or this team traps on the sideline, or, whatever it is. These guys deny wing passes, or they're going to front in the post. So it's just kind of breaking down the game in that way, like not going to hammer into them unless it's a lack of effort. It's not going to be something like really laying into them. Which thankfully with my team, it's never usually a lack of effort, thankfully. But just kind of those schematic things, like we allowed middle too much, or we got out rebounded by 10, just those kind of things. So then they can go into the next game with an extra emphasis on, we have to out rebound this team. When we get to the free throw line, we got to knock them down, take care of the ball, make better decisions on offense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any acronyms or quotes or values that you like to share with your team that you wouldn't mind sharing with the podcast?
Yeah, I thought about this one a little bit. So I think as in coaching in general and as a player, one of my assistant coaches at Oregon State, who's the head coach at Denver right now,
Oh, that's cool.
she told me in one of our individual meetings, she's like, you got to be thick skin and broad shoulders. And I've carried that with me through everything, especially coaching, because, we take the brunt of a lot of things. And in a year where we're 1 in 24, you're answering a lot of questions that are, you know, it's hard to lose as a coach. You never want to lose, and you probably take it harder than anybody else. But just having thick skin and broad shoulders and standing up for what you believe in, and knowing that you're doing the right thing and having confidence. And to me, having thick skin means you're not taking a lot of things personally. And then broad shoulders is you're strong and confident and able to lead even when you're maybe hesitant or unsure. That's one of the biggest things I've taken with me. Acronyms. Actually, one of the things that I always tell my team is have an attitude of gratitude. Because if you're thankful for where you're at and the opportunity that you have, playing college sport is a privilege and an opportunity, and you have to be grateful every day for those. Even the hard stuff, like you're going to have a really hard practice or a bad practice, shooters go into slumps or they don't have good games, but it's continuing to be grateful for the opportunity and just trusting the process. And just as a coach, I'm so thankful I get to coach basketball for a living. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Regardless of how hard things get or how many times we lose, like I'm still doing what I love and appreciate those opportunities.
Got two more questions for you. How do you go about, establishing a sense of shared leadership within the team? Is that something that you're kind of putting on the players to kind of vote for team captains? Do you have a leadership committee? What's kind of your process?
It's kind of varied every year, and I think each team is kind of needed something different. There's been years where I had a younger team where I didn't have captains. I just was the person that was keeping everybody accountable, and those are harder for us, but then you're establishing that culture. So I'm at a place in our program now where we have a leadership team and the team votes on it. So it's not just the coach picking it. It's like my teammates chose me to be in this role. So they have more confidence in that. But as much responsibility and ownership I can give them, I do, because it's their program, right? I don't make any shots. I don't get any rebounds. I don't get stops on defense. It's all them and the effort and heart that they put into it. And so as I talked about my leaders, like taking the balls out or picking up after practice, they're going to take ownership and responsibility in what they want the program to look like.
Nice. All right. I'm going to fire this off. I need a game time decision.
Oh, gosh.
A game time decision just because it's a timeout, game time decision. Up 3, 7 seconds left. You're up 3, 7 seconds left. Are we fouling or letting them shoot the three?
If we have fouls to give, we're fouling as soon as the ball gets in or before the shot goes off. So we're trying to
take some time.
How much time's left?
7 seconds. If we don't have fouls to give.
You don't have fouls to give?
And we put them on the line.
If we don't have fouls to give, we're switching everything and don't foul three. No threes, no fouls. If they want to get a 2, they want to drive to the basket, let them. No threes, no fouls. That's my rule.
I wish I knew a little bit more about the ins and outs of basketball where I could come up with some more situations.
No, that was good. We were in a lot of those situations last year.
Yeah, I guess one more question. How often are you drilling those? Because we drill the crap out of 2-minute situation, obviously third down, but how often are you drilling those end of game, end of half type situations?
Honestly, that's something I want to focus on more. We do maybe like 10 minutes at the end of practice. We'll do different scenarios, maybe ones that we've been in that we ended up losing or, that we can maybe learn from. But it's something that I'd like to do more of just because I want the players to be confident and this is what I'm supposed to do instead of me taking the whole time out explaining why we're doing this or, the philosophy behind it or we're going to foul before the shot comes off. Why are we fouling? Because we have 1 to give and you know what I mean? I need to do a better job or I guess more consistently. At the end of practice, we'll run some different scenarios.
Yeah, nice. Anything to conclude? Anything about coaching, teaching, leadership? Anything you'd like to share with the good of the group?
I appreciate you asking me on. You're doing a great job, and I love hearing the insights of other coaches, so I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate you joining me. That was awesome. Is there any coaches that you recommend, and you can just tell me or shoot me a text, high school, collegiate, any other sport that may have impacted you or that you've maybe observed that you're like, wow, they're really good? I would like to know because football season's coming up, so about 90% of my network is gonna be busy.
I'll think of some names and let you know for sure.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Casey.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You as well. Take care.
Thanks.
Bye.